that sounds lovely. Why are you driving so slowly? Hurry up!
Wait, you just said...
Time's arrow neither stands still nor reverses, after all. It merely marches forward. Isn't that right, Henrietta?
Yes, Mrs. Horseman, that's right.
Okay, but what if it could? That's the premise of Tenet. It's a quote-unquote time travel movie where you get to hit rewind on the direction of time and see things go through in reverse, while you stay in forwards motion. Make sense?
No.
Okay, let me use an example. Imagine that you walk into a room, bite an apple, and then enter the turnstile. What happens then? Your direction of time would be inverted. Now, with time's arrow reversed, let's say you go and kick a ball. The flow of events will occur as follows. You enter the room, bite the apple, enter the turnstile, and kick a ball. Okay? But wait, since you kicked a ball while time's arrow is reversed, doesn't that mean you'll be able to see your past self eating the apple and vice versa? Yes, you can, because the kick was done in reverse, thus allowing you to see it before you do it. You just see it in reverse because, well, it was done with time's arrow switched. So, updating that to our flow of events, we get you enter the room, bite the apple while seeing the ball get kicked in reverse, and then you enter the turnstile while seeing yourself also entering the turnstile in reverse, and then you disappear. Wait, what? Where did you go? Well, you went to kick a ball. Except since you've already seen that happening in reverse when biting the apple, you won't see it again. Then where are you going now? Well, that depends on what you want to do after kicking the ball. And if you wanted to see that happen in reverse, you'd have to be paying attention to yourself before biting the apple. Okay, now do you get it? Awesome. Now, let's talk about POVs. Because that previous example with the apple and the ball sounds like a kid's book, with time's arrow unchanged. But the film isn't strictly in the normal perspective. The movie switches back and forth and shows us both perspectives. That's why we see the car chase and the airport fight twice. So what would we see from this inverted perspective? Well, firstly, the normal perspective will now be the reversed one, since we aren't anymore. So we'll see the apple in reverse too. We will exit the turnstile and kick a ball while we see ourselves bite the apple and exit the room. So, putting it all together, what we get is, firstly, the chain of events in order. Enter the room, bite apple, enter turnstile, exit turnstile, kick the ball. Secondly, from the normal perspective, we'll see ourselves kick the ball in reverse while eating the apple and enter the turnstile. While from the reverse perspective, we'll exit the turnstile and kick a ball while seeing ourselves eat the apple in reverse. Where would each side be heading now? On the normal side, you'll go onto the reverse side to do what you've just seen happen in reverse, kick the ball on the reverse side, you'll just keep moving in reverse and go on to do whatever after kicking the ball. Okay, now do you get it? Perfect. Now, let's talk about the actual movie and what the hell is up with this scene. So, Katie's not inverted, but the wall is? Okay, let me bring you up to speed first. Sator, the bad guy, shoots Katie, the hostage, and the bullet hurts Katie and cracks the glass wall. The chain of events are, Sator fires the gun, it hurts Katie, and it cracks the wall. Let's focus on Katie getting shot first, which is done in reverse because in this scene, Sator is inverted, shown by him being in the blue room. And hence, when he shoots Katie, that'll happen in reverse. So, from the normal perspective, we will see wall is already cracked, bullet flies back into the gun, wall is uncracked. Katie is unhurt, right? Wrong. Because Katie isn't inverted, shown by her wearing red. Hence her wound forms normally from back to front, but it's formed by a bullet moving in reverse, which is piercing her from front to back. How would that, what? So the bullet goes from front to back, but the wound opens from back to front, or does the wound open from front to back too? But if that's the case, how would that look from Sator's perspective? The wound is already open. The bullet goes from back to front, but the wound closes up from back to front as well? Okay, I think it makes sense. So basically Katie gets shot from front to back in the opposite direction. Got it. Wait, but what about the glass wall? In the normal perspective, we see that the wall is already cracked with the bullet inside it, but then the bullet flies out and the wall fixes itself, which pierces Katie from front to back and then goes back into the gun. The wall fixes itself. The wall is cracking in reverse. The wall is inverted? Why would Sator invert the wall? What purpose does that serve? Okay, wait, I think the movie explains this.
Two directions of time becoming more intertwined. But because the environment's entropy flows in our direction, we dominate. They're always swimming upstream. That's what saved your life. Inverted explosion was pushing against the environment.
Pissing in the wind.
What did any of that mean? So Time's arrow will magically flip back? The glass will magically uncrack so that it can crack like normal afterwards? Wait, when? Immediately? After a few seconds? Minutes? Hours? And why that specific amount of time? What's actually uncracking the wall to let it crack again? And why didn't that happen to Katie's wound? Why did they need to inverse her to heal it? And why did I decide to make a video on Tenet? This dominant entropy bullshit is on the same level of
the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
the entropy in our environment is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. I don't know if Nolan thought it through, but to me it sounds like he came up with this moments before filming because he just realized the plot holes that this inverse stuff would create if it's never undone. It's just plot duct tape. And also, Nolan did a pretty bad job at explaining how the magic system works, which is to say he basically didn't. I mean, I get it, Nolan expects us to possess media literacy and the ability to read subtext. But with Tenet, I think he's asking a bit too much. He came up with this neat new inversion concept, then immediately assumed that we'd understand it right away, so spent barely any of the time at all explaining it. Instead, he just moved straight on to developing the concept further. The only scene that shows us this time inversion stuff straight with no special caveats or anything is the exposition dump given by the scientist woman at the start. And in that scene, all the protagonist did was play around with an inverse bullet. Nothing about turnstiles or dominant entropy or time paradoxes. We're just supposed to logically piece out everything else from seeing a single inverted bullet bouncing around a table as we watch the movie. Every other scene from then on always has to have some kind of caveat or complication thrown in. Whether it's, oh, but Katie's not inversed even though she's in the blue room, or Sator received intel from his future self which creates a time loop paradox, or everything was the protagonist's plan all along. No wonder it's so confusing. No wonder people didn't like it. At least some people. Remember, you may know every little thing about your story, but your readers don't. Your magic system is like a swimming pool. You gotta give your readers time to warm up before asking them to swim laps. But don't worry, bro. I got you. I have a solution to the whole dominant entropy thing. And I'm gonna change the plot to be something much, much simpler. Let's take the power system from Tenet and write it in a way that you can actually understand. Also, quick heads up, this is going to be an SCP story because why not? And I kind of didn't feel like rewriting the whole movie, so let's go! Okay, so on the SCP's website, there are articles all the way up to, Jesus Christ, 9,999? So our SCP has got to be within the 10,000. Some random number like, I don't know, SCP 64258X. Now behold, my fix for the dominant entropy bit. Instead of it just defaulting to the normal flow of time simply because, the dominant entropy will be whatever's causing the effect. That way, the cause will always lead back to the effect regardless of time's arrow. In other words, the universe bends to the will of causality. So in our version of the red room, blue room scene, since Sator is the one firing the gun, his flow of time will take over as the dominant entropy. But if the roles were switched and Katie shot him, her flow of time will take over and Sator will bleed out onto the floor in normal time. Now, the SCP itself, instead of some sci-fi machine, why don't we make it I don't know, like a fossil or something. And anyone that touches it will get inverted, and that will spread and spread, wreaking havoc across the world. Why? That's because the inverted people will go on to affect their environment. They'll be the ones causing the effect, which means they'll hold the dominant entropy. It's kind of like a virus, but it spreads through cause and effect instead of air particles or bodily fluids or whatever. It's not airborne, it's causality-borne. Our protagonist is going to be a lead researcher trying to track down this fossil and find a way to stop it. Wait, hang on. So the inverted people will invert things by affecting them, which means the universe bends to the will of causality. Well, how quickly would that spread? I mean, just their mere existence would have already affected so many things. It's the butterfly effect. Basically, like if an inverted guy took a breath, inhaling air and exhaling, does that mean that he'll invert the air? What? Like if he takes a step, does that mean he'll invert the floor? Especially if he leaves a footprint behind or something, and the Foundation knows about him, and that only happened because he exists. He caused the Foundation to know about him, and for our protagonist to track down the source of it. So that means that the entire Foundation and our protagonist will be inverted? No, sorry, they already are? Wait, hang on. Can't you just kill all the inverted people and that'll stop everything? You'll revert the inverted people by shooting them, allowing them to die forwards in time. Okay, back up. If you enter the Turnstile, there are two versions of you, right? Notice how there's two Sators, two protagonists, etc. So there's also two versions of every inverted person, one of them inverse and one of them before that point. So if the inverted person is gonna die and get reverted back, does that mean that there's now two versions of this guy moving in normal time? One is bleeding out while the other is going to get inverted? And what if they see each other? What if they see themselves dying and chooses not to go in? No, but they have to. The inverse side is their future. It's like Paul Atreides seeing the Jihad. Tenet is a predeterministic universe. Okay, let's go back to the story for now. God, I have a freaking migraine. Okay, forget all this. It's too complicated. Let's just say that we'll just default back to the normal flow of time, okay? Otherwise, the story quite literally can't exist. Let's just say that the normal flow of time is the dominant entropy. Oh, so that's why he did it. It's duct tape. But he needs it. Otherwise, the whole thing falls apart. I mean, it's not perfect, but it is technically weak writing. But it's like, what else do you want him to do? What else did I want him to do? His only frame of reference for this stuff is himself. In fact, everyone else uses him as reference when they want to add time travel to their own stories. He's led the pack and revolutionized filmmaking for so long, and the one time he trips up, I go all CinemaSins on him? I'm not saying I'm wrong, the dominant entropy stuff is weak writing, but I don't know, it's not like I could do any better anyway. So what the hell do I know, right? Nolan, Chris, man, the big N, I'm sorry, man. I was being unfair. Of course, it'd be better if all the plot holes were fixed and you gave the audience enough time to understand everything, but I don't know if that's actually possible. So I'll compromise. I'll allow the duct tape. I'll stop nitpicking so much and just experience it like you wanted us to. And if you guys are willing to do that with me, tune into my next video where I just say fuck it and tell the story from earlier in full. Hope to see you there.